Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
Well, it's been an exciting week, Jim.
President Trump has done the critical materials and minerals sector a big favor. What did he do, and how does that affect your company?
Well, President Trump has issued executive order on critical minerals in December of 2017, and that is reaching the end of its cycle now, and a lot of news is starting to come out on it. But what they really did is they identified minerals and metals that the U.S. is 100% or 50% dependent on. And that's half the, that's getting close to, 70 different minerals. But in some of the more critical ones, and you know that we've been calling ourselves a critical metal company for a number of years, over 10. And it's because we do have critical metals, and certainly manganese is one of the ones at the top of the list where the U.S. is 100% dependent on it. But now, they're also very dependent on cobalt and lithium, and we even have a niobium property. They're dependent on that niobium and graphite. So we cover a large spectrum of what's out there, and I expect that we'll get a lot of attention out of that. For example, the Critical Materials Institute, which is part of the DOE, came out with a publication on cobalt, and specifically lithium and cobalt demand. And they're heavily involved in research with public companies or with private companies, and on the trying to settle that demand down. And of course, recycling is a big part of that. So, I think we're going to get swept up in this next phase of the market, which is again the critical materials. So I think it's time that we discuss that a little bit. Certainly, as our shareholders should be aware, one of the key figures in this is Dan McGroarty, who's on our advisory board. And Dan advises the Congress on this, and he's been pointing up this weakness for years and years, and finally Trump, realizing that they couldn't go through life without being dependent on especially hostile countries for a lot of these materials. So we've got a lot of it sitting either in batteries that we can recycle or in properties that we have. We have cobalt property, we have a niobium property, we have a manganese property, and certainly the recycled material contains the graphite and lithium that is also critical. So, we're kind of all over this, and this was basically by design when we decided to call ourselves a critical metals company back in 2007, 2008, and now we're finally, at the forefront of all this. So, when it comes to critical metals, Trump is very serious about getting the Congress to act on pushing for some kind of resolution through some of the bureaucracies that they have, and which should be the Department of Defense and the DOE, and when you look at the Critical Materials Lab, that is a part of the DOE, and so these guys are working ahead, and we expect that we'll be in the loop somewhere when it comes to resolving these problems. And critical metals is key to the Defense Department in the United States. It's key to the quality of life that the United States and Canada, for that matter, enjoy. And so now they're coming into their own. And we're already very excited about the recycling situation. And I think that people should start maybe focusing on this critical metal arena, because we're involved. And on the same note, I'd like to say that we will probably start next week with some press releases, which I feel are very good. And things are moving quite rapidly through everything that we're doing. Cometco is starting the build of the small pilot plant, and they're waiting for some long lead items to come in. I mean, these are not off-the-shelf items, some of them, and like the filter presses and that, they're not off the shelf, especially in the sizes required by our pilot plant. But that's moving ahead, and the focusing on getting new patents is moving ahead, and it's a very exciting time. So we had a pretty big day in the market yesterday. It looked like a buyer came in and bought up a lot of stock, and that kind of has dwindled off today, as the volume is way down, and it's not unusual for us, but we're around 100,000 shares, and between the two markets, the U.S. and Canada, we had we're not even close to 100,000 yet, but we had 600,000 shares yesterday. But it does show that we're starting to get some people that are recognizing this and taking decent positions in the stock. And I think that you'll see more and more of that moving forward. We have another conference coming up in June that I will be announcing in the next week or two. And we've already got meetings set up there, and I'd have to say that I've been complaining about the fact that we were not getting a lot of attention out of the Western world, but recently we started getting attention out of Europe and the U.S., and people are really sitting up and paying attention to what we're doing. So I see good times ahead, and that's the basics thumbnail of what I wanted to talk about today. So I'll turn it back to you, Jim.
Larry, for new listeners, what is the outlook and what is the plan for American Manganese?
Well, the outlook is to get our patents and to move ahead with the pilot plant, get involved in a commercial plant, hopefully with a partner, and that looks potentially possible. And the outlook, I think, is nothing but great. We're in the right arena. I just talked about critical metals, and now we're talking about critical and scarce metals when we talk about cobalt. And we could be a big supplier of that. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking that we'd be in the realm of being able to produce maybe 20% of the cobalt needs in about 6 years or 7 years. And that may sound like a long time, but in the meantime, you're making money as you move along. But it's going to get more and more massive. The recycled material is going to accommodate a lot of the new batteries. And with recycled material, you're not really concerned about buying it from child labor in the Congo or anything like that. It's got a clean aspect to it.
Larry, where are you traded and under what symbols?
We're traded, our chief exchange is the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture, and we're traded under the symbol AMY. We're traded in the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF, and we're traded in Frankfurt under the symbol 2AM. You can do due diligence on us, and a lot of people are, on our website at AmericanManganeseInc.com. Or you can phone me at 778-574-4444, or shoot me an email at LREAUGH@AMYMN.com.
Larry, thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
We've been speaking with Larry Reaugh, President and CEO of American Manganese. I'm Jim Goddard. Our conversation took place on May 25th.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.